3 over 8 equals negative 3x over 2 minus 4. So the first thing we want to do is find a common denominator. So if we look at the denominator of each of these terms, we have a 7, 8, 2, and then this would be over 1. So we could multiply 7 times 8 times 2, but 2 already shares a common factor with 8, so we're just going to do 7 times 8, which equals 56. If we did multiply them all together, it would also work, but there would just be some extra simplifying steps at the end. So what we're going to do is multiply both sides by 56. So now you have 56 times 5x plus 3 over 7 plus 56 times 3 over 8 equals 56 times negative 3x over 2 minus 4 times 56. And so at this point, you may be tempted to start trying to FOIL out this 56 into these terms. You could do that, but it's simpler to instead simplify with the denominator and this 56 here. So we have 56 divided by 7. So we can cancel that out, and that would leave us with 8. 5x plus 3 plus 56 times 3 divided by 8. I'm just going to put that into my calculator. Sorry, 1 second. 56 times 3 divided by 8 gives us 21, plus 21 equals, then we do the same thing here. 56 divided by 2 gives us 28 times negative 3x minus 4 times 56, which gives us negative 224. So now we're just going to continue expanding out these brackets. So we have 8 times 5x, which gives us 40x, plus 24, plus 21, 28 times negative 3 is negative 84x, and then minus 224. So now we want to start simplifying or collecting like terms. So we have 24 and 21 over here. So we're going to combine that. It gives us 45 equals negative 84x minus 224. So now we have to decide which side of the equation we want to move our x's to and what side we want our constants to. So I think it'd be easiest to add our x's all the way to the left side. So we're going to add 84x, cancel out this 84x. And that'll leave us with 124x plus 45 equals negative 224. Now we want to move this 45 to the right side. So we're going to subtract minus 45. Now we have 124x equals, what is that? Negative 269. And once we have just one x term, or just one variable and one constant, then we can start dividing. So we'll divide by 124. And that leaves us with x equals negative 269 over 124, which is approximately negative 2.17. And what I then recommend you do, like you don't have to do this, it's optional, is to do a check. If you have like time, like say you're doing an assignment or something, I'd recommend it. But if it's during a test and you don't have a lot of time, it might not be worth it. But if you do have the time, then I would recommend it. So we're going to sub in. On our left side, we have 5x plus 3 over 7 plus 3 over 8. So we're going to have 5 times negative 2.17 plus, what was it? 3 all over 7 plus 3 over 8. And I'm just going to put this in my calculator. And that gives us approximately 0.7, negative 0.75. So now we can check the right side. We're gonna do the same thing. Every time there's an x, we're gonna sub in our negative 2.17. So we have negative 3 times negative 2.17 divided by 2 minus 4. And that equals negative 0.745. And so since we rounded here, our answers aren't exactly correct or exactly exact, but they're close enough. And if we didn't round, and if we're using the exact 269 over 124 in our calculator, we would get the exact same answer. That's just how you can check your answer. Just sub in the value for x on the left side and in the right side. And if left side equals right side, then your value is correct. Now we have another example here. Similar example. We're going to solve it the same way. So we're going to look for a common denominator. So we have a 5 in this denominator, 3 here, another 3 here, and a 15 here. So we could do 5 times 3 times 3 times 15, but the common denominator for all those would be 15. So we're going to do the same thing, multiply 15 into both sides. So for this one, we could just put it into our calculator. So we'd have 15 times 7 divided by 5 would give us 21x. Then 15 times negative 11 divided by 3 is negative 55. And then 4 times 15 divided by 3 equals 20x. And then 15 times 1 over 15 just equals 1. And so we're going to do the same thing. I think it'll be easiest to put all of our x's to the left. So we're going to subtract 20x from the right side, 20x from the left side, and that'll leave us with x minus 55 equals 1. And now we want to move our constants over. So we have subtract 55. So now we're going to add 55 to get to the other side. And that leaves us with x equals 56. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's do a quick left side and right side check. So we have 7 times 56 over 5 minus 11 over 3. And see what that equals. Equals approximately 74.73. Oh, sorry, that's a little sloppy. 74.73, and we'll do that to the right side. So we have 4 times 56 over 3 plus 1 over 15. That equals the same, equals 74.73. Since our left side equals right side, then we know for sure that x equals 56 for this equation. Great, and let's see what we got next. So now we have an inequality instead of just an equal sign. There's basically just one rule that you have to know, and that is whenever you divide by a negative, divide or multiply a negative, you have to flip the direction of the sign. Sorry, that's a little bit hard to see, but so for this case, we're going to do the same thing. We want to rearrange to find x. So I'm going to move all my x's onto the left side. So I'll subtract 9x from each side. So now I have 30 minus 13x is less than 18. And now we're going to move our constants all the way to the right. So now we're going to subtract 30. Now we have negative 13x is less than negative 12. So now what we want to do is we want to divide by negative 13, divide by negative 13. And then you got to be careful, since we divide by negative, the direction of the sign changes. So now we have x is greater than 12 over 13. That's like basically the one trick of it. You just have to know whenever you divide by a negative, you have to reverse the direction of the sign. And we could also do a left side equals right side check here as well, but I'm just going to skip it in this case. We have another example. Let's move our x's to the left again. So we're going to subtract negative 38x minus 38x. Gives us negative 11x plus 5 is greater than 19. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides to get everything on one side. So negative 11x is greater than 14. We're going to divide by negative 11, divide by negative 11. Whenever you divide by a negative, you have to switch the sign around. So now we have x is less than 14 over 11. All right, let's see our last equation. This example is a little bit unique. We have multiple variables, and we're trying to solve for a. So we want to have this in terms of a, so a equals blank in terms of the other variables. So the first step I would do, I'm going to expand out this bracket. So we have AB plus CD equals 4A minus 4D plus C. And now we have to decide what side we want all of our A's on and where do we want the rest of the stuff. So I think I'm going to move the A's to the left again. So subtract 4A from each side. So now we have AB plus CD minus 4A equals negative 4D plus C. All right, and now we want to get rid of this C and D here so we can be left with just A's. So we're going to subtract CD from each side. So AB minus 4A equals negative 4D plus C minus CD. And now we have a problem. We have AB minus 4A on this side, and all we want is A's. So what we have to do is we have to factor out the A. So each of these terms has A as a factor, so we can factor it out. So if we divide AB by A, we'll be left with B, because A times B equals AB. And if we divide negative 4A by A, we'll be left with negative 4. That leaves us with A, B minus 4 equals negative 4D plus C minus CD. And now just to get A all by itself, we just divide by B minus 4, by both sides by B minus 4. And that leaves us with A equals negative 4D plus C minus CD over B minus 4. That'll be your final answer. Sometimes there may be an opportunity to factor out the numerator and stuff like that, but I do not see any way we could do that. If you wanted, we could do a left side equals right side test, but it would get pretty messy subbing in for A equals negative 4D plus C minus CD over B minus 4 for each one of those A's, but it is possible. So yeah, that will wrap it up for today's video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me on Teams or D2L. And yeah, thanks for watching.